Hi guys, what's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Total War Arena. So we are back with our Battle of the Week. It's actually been quite a while since I've done one of these. We've had a real string of micro patches, and every time a little mini patch is released, it means that all the replay files get lost and you have to start over again. So I keep missing them. But Brian sent this one in with his Andartas swordsmen, these female barbarian warriors up at tier 7. I really like these guys. I say I really like them. I've not actually played them yet myself, but I'm at the tier 6 and there's one of those units I actually really want to get to. I think they're kind of like the epitome of barbarian infantry. You know, they have really good, solid 5-speed mobility. You know, they have a charge, and my favourite thing is the roar, which gives that minus 20 morale damage to your enemy. It's kind of like a Scipio's war cry. Really nice, and because of the way barbarians excel at flanking anyway, that ability is kind of just like building on what they're already good at, and that just makes them, in my opinion, pretty excellent in what I expect them to be like. And they also get slam, which is probably the best strike out there, apart from hamstring. So let's get started with this replay and see how he gets on. Brian is teamed up with King Dirty in a party, so they're going to be playing together through this battle. Obviously, both of them spawn down here near the forest. Absolutely the wise thing to be doing. Of course, you know, it gives them that lovely little bonus, that forest bonus, that 25% melee attack and defense, which is a really nice start. Their melee defense 63, pretty decent, and the melee attack 141, which is very nice. It's always a promising start to a game when you can get yourself straight into a forest with these barbarians. So they start pushing through the forest. Some enemy cavalry has been scouting the centre. We've got a few other people kicking around here as well. Oh, he's actually teamed up with some Roman infantry as well, pushing down the middle. What's that? Some tier 8 Romans in the middle. In some very strange formationing going on. Oh, Testudo. Oh, and Brian has come across some enemy falconsmen and some enemy tier 7 archers. You've got to be careful of those guys. Unsurprisingly, they both walk up to each other and just face frame with each other. Brian ultimately ends up getting the better of this engagement because thankfully we have friendly archers, slingers in range, and they're able to actually get a fair chunk of damage in and against these enemy falconsmen, particularly when they're on the flames, because obviously they're getting their missile block. King Dirty, on the hand, was pushing up the open flank, trying to perhaps get around a bit onto the edge of these falconsmen, but unfortunately he finds the enemy tier 7 archers somewhere in this forest, doesn't know exactly where they are, and doesn't really want to be staying around to play because the amount of damage it takes per volley is quite high. So I kind of understand that. Falconsmen are thinking about pursuing him. It's just kind of one of those situations where everyone is pretty evenly matched. No one really wants to go into the enemy's territory because of the archers on each side, and sort of as such, everyone is just sort of loitering around waiting to see how it's going to pan out and that sort of thing. See these enemy ambushers, these tier 7 archers. See then the enemy falconsmen come forward, but they get caught by Brian's team's archers, and that gives Brian the opportunity to go in. Lovely slam in the side there with his charge, with his harass charge. Actually, knocks quite a lot of them down. Immediately goes for a slam, which obviously causes them massive slowdown. He gets hamstrings himself, and then enemy dogs turn up. But to be honest, you know, the dogs don't fare that well against barbarian swordsmen, particularly when you have access to slam. And these guys, even though they have access to ambush, have put their handlers in combat, so it means they're not going to get the dogs' miss strike ability. They then get chucked in the flames as well. I'm not sure King Dirty should really have come into the back here. I guess he was going for the rear flank, which does actually work quite well. It's just he took quite a lot of friendly fire from the flames in so doing so, because he's now basically fully submerged his unit. So he takes like 5,000, 6,000. I'm just not sure it's quite worth the amount of damage to take. And while being shot at by the arrows, and he's just getting really low missile block chance as well. So the dog handlers do get out, but they pay quite a hefty price for that process, and lose quite a lot of their dogs, really. It was certainly not worth it for them. And nets Brian a nice little opening 1,000-point aggression score. So still a pretty close game, slight advantage, but really anyone's game yet. These are the falconsmen for the forest, chasing off some slingers for the field. And it looks like in the forest everyone is sort of falling back, regrouping, trying to see what everyone's going to be thinking about doing next. Obviously the enemy have still got their archers kicking around here somewhere, and it looks like there's some more tier 7 barbarians, so these guys still haven't got a clear run into the enemy. What's going on in the centre? Some Romans are having a bit of a hard time of it by the looks of it. I don't think that's going to go very well for them, fighting elephants. Oh, it's Melquart. It's the tier 7 premium elephants. Really, probably the best elephants in that tier because they get gore. You know, if you watch my elephant video, you'll know how effective that gore can be. So Brian's still sort of thinking, not sure whether to fall back in the face of these enemy dog handlers, the infantry and the archers. Those dog handlers are having a rough time of it with the amount of arrow fire they're getting on them. There's only a handful of them left anyway. I don't know, where has Brian's teammate King Dirty gone? I've completely lost him. Oh, he's here. Here he is with his same unit as Brian. So he starts off, looks like he's starting to push back into the forest. Oh, here these are handlers. They're kind of outnumbered quite a lot now. I doubt they'll be able to outrun as well. The one disappointing thing I find really disappointing about the War Dogs is the mobility. You know, being a barbarian infantry, you expect them to be quite quick, but they're really not. You know, the barbarian infantry themselves are significantly quicker. You know, easily catch up with these guys. Does exactly the right thing. He pushes his units around so he gets a complete encirclement. Means the War Dogs can't run away, and it also means he's going to get some really good flanking modifiers on them. As well, he also pops his Andartas Roar, which gives that minus 20 morale. And, well, unsurprisingly, it's enough to tip these guys over into routing, and they are completely gone. And, you know, the barbarian infantry are just excel at this sort of thing. You know, just decimating units like this, so isolated on their own. Core outmaneuvered and just cut down, really. And that's the end of those War Dogs, who were trying to sneak round, obviously, to get to the base. He's still got pretty good health across his units, to be honest. Still got quite a lot to play with. As he starts to move up, he's still waiting for his Defiance to come back on most of his units. Reversing Getrix is still alive, so he's still got access to it. What's he looking about? 1800 aggression points, close to 3000 points overall, so not too bad. Looks like King Dirty's got himself into a spot of bother over here, though. He's kind of being chased by these enemy Andartas, which is kind of keeping him running. And obviously he doesn't want to turn and engage this unit because the elephants will just absolutely rip into pieces if he does. But thankfully they seem to give up pursuing him, which is, I don't know if it was an error on their part really. But then obviously these guys are quicker than the elephants, so maybe. But of course that means he's now free to turn back around and focus on these guys again. Some Numidian cavalry getting caught in a bad position. They got a bit of damage against those enemy archers. And our friendly archers are turned up and laying into them now. Good. And it looks like Brian is pulling back. Is he going to go for this fight here? Probably kind of an obvious one to go for. Rear charge these enemy Andartas, which he does with one of his units. Exactly the right thing to do. Should be able to hopefully get a bit of pressure on these guys. Is he going to pop his roar? Oh, I think he has done. It's obviously just not quite enough to get them to rout. But there we go, he got the rear banking modifier, minus 74 morale. They are certainly not going to be hanging around. I'm surprised these elephants didn't go in for these guys. That would have been the obvious target for them. I know they feel they want to chase down the archers, but it didn't really work out for them, to be honest. They're just slowly getting cut down now and being kited. It looks like they decimated these enemy barbarians pretty easily. You know, obviously a sandwich, when you get a sandwich like that, it's only going to end badly for you, and for the enemy it did not end very well at all. Looks like he's racking up quite a few nice points though from that, and it looks like this battle is now tipped pretty significantly in his favour. Although King Dirty looks like he's got himself into a bit of a tough fight. Oh, well, I don't think that's going to end very well. Oh, there goes the flanks. Oh dear. And dead. There we go. Brian could not get back in time. Looks like he sent 2 units back to harass the elephants. I don't know if that was to stop them getting back to base, quite possibly. Probably a pretty sensible thing to do. Particularly when you've got the game in the bag, I always feel like it's worth sending units more back towards the base. Why risk losing them? Elephant, obviously with its rear to the slingers and the archers, just gets absolutely cut down. And that is the end of the enemy elephants. Brian initially gets himself into probably a bit of a spot of bother because he kind of gets pretty outnumbered by these enemy barbarian infantry. But then friendly Romans turn up, get a massive charge in, basically knock down the entire enemy unit that was on his rear. And by then it's sort of the beginning of the end for these enemy barbarian infantry. Brian managed to rack himself up a few more points. Does he tip himself just over 3,000? I don't know if he's going to. There's not quite enough enemies left. No, 990. I don't think he's going to quite do it, unfortunately. But still, that was a really solid battle. No, it's not going to quite tip himself over. and all the enemies are eliminated. Yeah, I kind of enjoyed that replay, partly because I really like the look of these Andartas. I'm really looking forward to getting onto them. Something at Tetria I really need to keep going down, particularly with Vercingetorix. I think they play out really well. I feel you get a lot of choice over sort of the battle. That's kind of why I like them. I'm still on the tier 6 of the Fauxes as well. Yeah, I really like the fact that Scorched Earth obviously controls how your engagement goes, and if you can pin an enemy on Scorched Earth, that's just brilliant. And obviously Iron Discipline and Defiance allow you to kind of dictate the fight, and the manoeuvrability of all his units from you know, the Falxman up through to the Barbarian Infantry is so fast, it just gives them such a good choice about where they go. But anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this Battle of the Week. Yeah, first one we've had in quite a while. So yeah, keep your submissions coming in. I don't always get to look at all of them, and whenever, as I say, whenever there's a micro patch, of course it throws everything off because it means that I lose access to all your replays because you can only view replays of the current version. But hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you have, please give the video a like, let me know what you think in the comments down below, and subscribe to the channel for lots more Total War Arena content. Thanks guys, see you all in the next video.